Hey, was that a wave? Wow! It's Friday. It's Festool Friday. I'm getting rid of my 6-foot stick. We're still social distancing here. Hey, it's noon, right, Big D? Yep. So that means it's Festool Friday. Welcome to episode, believe it or not, 78. Hey, Garrett, can you mute that? This is what? Is this 79? Yeah. No way. You know what that means? The next one's 80. Oh my God. I am in a special mood today, everybody. I think we all are in this room because Christmas break is upon us. So I'm going to call out the room so we can get going here. Over here, we got Big D. Behind the camera, we have Chris, the unit Cybert. And over here, I'm introducing you to Garrett Boom Boom Sato. He is our utility player on Festool Live. It's because he's going to do questions and answers for you, and he's going to do what? Right where you're from on the board. He is the utility player of all utility players. And I want to shout out to Minnie. I know you're watching, and I know it's probably 6 o'clock where you are at. You're in Italy, or I think / Germany. So we miss you, Min. I'm glad you're safe over in Europe on your Christmas break. Have fun. We all wish we were over there. Hey! And maybe one of these years we will be, right? Okay, everybody. YouTube Live is what you're watching. Don't forget, it's going to be on Instagram and Facebook. Also on YouTube, we got so much great content out there. We got the Build with Brent series. We also have, and you can see this just about every other week on Instagram Live, but then it's our new podcast that we put on Apple and we put on Spotify. And last week, we just recorded Mike Coffee from Coffee Custom Builds, and it is a winner chicken dinner, and that should be released next week, right, Big D? So that's our Festool Shop Talk on Tuesday morning. Okay, let's see. What else I got on that board I got to mention? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I can't believe 2021 is coming to a wrap. We've already pre-planned quite a bit of 2022 for Festool Live, and we're coming to an area of the U.S. or Canada throughout the year. I think we got 7 of them planned, guys. So, I mean, we're going to go coast to coast and have a great time. I surely hope you will be able to attend one of the Festool Lives. The ones we've had so far have been a super success. Okay. Is it really number 79? Man, I lost count. Okay. So today, I wanted to wrap up and talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. It's my favorite accessory here at Festool. It's the LR-32 system. And you're going to say, well, Seth, you already covered that. I did in 2 previous episodes. They were number 13 and number 45. And the reason I know that is because Derek wrote them on the board for me today. So, in mentioning that, there's a full setup video on the LR-32, but there's also maximizing the system in episode 45, common questions that we've had on the LR-32. But I was thinking about this recently. And it's funny because you probably already saw the title of this one. It's called Don't Complicate the System. And sometimes I get to listen to what I preach because I complicated it last year. And I thought about this because this was always in our cabinet class. I got to give you this little backstory because I've talked about it, but I haven't truly shown you, I don't think. One of the number one epiphanal moments that when people came to our cabinet class, I would have them cut at a certain increment, a 32 millimeter increment. And then the next day, it simplified the entire second day on the LR-32. And so much so that people have come up to me at shows afterwards who attended the class or have emailed me and said, Sedge, that was the number one thing I learned out of that class. So I want to concentrate on it today because even recently, people have sent me pictures on setting up their LR-32 rails, and I'm going, don't complicate the system, Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to make a cut or two first, and then I'm going to go to the LR-32, and I want you to understand that. And I set it up where I'm going to show you how much I've seen people complicate this. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, it is so easy once you understand a 32 millimeter increment. We've called them in the past through the LR32 episodes what we call a balanced panel. I want to truly show you what a balanced panel is. Okay, so as I get going here, I've got everything set up. I've done a few things previously to make sure we're all good, but I'm going to swing in here, and off of my STM, I ripped up a sheet of plywood yesterday, and then I cross-cut a bunch of pieces. So this I've already squared. Okay, hey, we learned how to square last week in episode 78. See how I can do that? That's the part I'm good at, math. Subtracting and adding onesies. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over. All right. And I got another MFT there to support it. So I'm going to make a mark here, and I want you to see this. I got this tape, and yes, this tape is calibrated. But I love talking about this tape. Garrett this morning asked me, are you going to talk about the tape? Yes, I'll talk about the tape. So everybody who's watching across the pond, around the world, here in North America, predominantly U.S., we're still stuck in the imperial system. And I totally understand it. Believe me, I'm not bad-mouthing imperial. I've just learned to work in metric. I was working in imperial back in Fort Lauderdale in my shop, but then I realized I was actually working in metric because everything works off of that. I totally understand that. So some of you over in England or Germany or wherever are going to say, yeah, we already know that. Well, a lot of people here don't, so bear with me, and I'm going to try to explain this to the best of my ability. Okay, so when I'm cutting these boards, okay, a popular measurement here in the U.S., and this is how I teach this. I look at this tape, right? Okay, and a common RTA, ready-to-assemble cabinet, is cut for an upper or a wall cabinet. It's 30 1/4. Okay, pretty simple, right? Well, that equates to, and everybody come in here, check out this tape. This is the metric scale. That's the imperial. You got it? Okay, if we look here, okay, see these dots right here on this tape? Every one of those is a 32 millimeter increment. So if we slide down here, and I'm going to bring it over here, look what 30 1/4 is. It's actually 768 millimeters, which is divisible by a 32 millimeter divisor. Hopefully you're getting that, and hopefully I said it correctly. So what I always like to do is I like to cut, and this is where that moment came, and everybody was looking at me odd when I would check this after I cut it. But bear with me, I want to show you what I'm doing, okay? So I'm going to bring it in here like this, all right? I'm going to bring my rail down, come over here so we can see this. Oh, look at that, it's right on the line. Hello. I wonder how I got that, right? Okay, so I got my track saw on here. Just make sure everything's good, and I'm going to make that cut. All right. Now, the one thing I will tell you when I'm making these cuts, and I'm just going to, whoa! Did you see that, Garrett? That was close, dude. Make sure that, I'm working, he says. Okay, make sure everything's square. I know that. All right, but this is what I always would do in class, and everybody would scratch their head. I took my end stops here on my rail. And you see where I put 16 up and out? I did the same thing in here. Okay, so when I would come over and everybody would cut their boards, I would check it, and look, you see how that fits in there perfectly? Okay, so this is why it's important. Okay, I only have one set of lines. I forget who this gentleman was from. I do remember he's from Kansas. And he looked at me one time and he said, it can't be that easy. I go, it is, because he was complicating it himself. And here's how people get complicated. Okay, so I cut everything on an increment of 32. Okay, now, when I'm going to go back now because I'm full of stories. Because when I first saw the LR-32 system, I was still in my shop, and I said, that would be handy on the job site. But then I saw somebody who put something out on the internet somewhere and I think it was a website that just had pitches. There's no videos to this. And his rail looked like this, or her rail looked like this. I forget what it was. And I went, what the heck is that? They got 2 sets of dots. And I go, that's kind of complicated. They got red dots, yellow dots. What the hell is that? Okay. And the reasoning behind that, and I'll come over here, and I'm going to push this back now. So I come to work for Festool. It gets explained to me, or I was taught how to use the LR-32 system. And I was like, always, and how the instructor told me, hey, always work off the bottom. And I went, oh, okay. But then I had 2 sets of lines. And I used to overcomplicate it myself until I figured out, cut it on a 32 millimeter increment. And boy, that opened up my brain completely. So I'm going to switch on hopefully you're all following me in this, everybody. So I'm going to do the typical why somebody has something with all the dots. Okay? They don't cut it on a 32 millimeter increment. And this is why it's complicated. Okay? I cut this yesterday. I edge banded it. I put a groove in here. Let me make sure my Faxis is all set. And I'll put that on there. Okay? This is, I believe, let's get my tape out. It's not, you can see, look, it's not a 32 millimeter increment. It's 750 millimeter or 29 and a half. Okay? You follow me on this because I'm going to explain all of this in a minute. So, I labeled bottom, front, and top. Okay? Now, on the front, I have to do this. I want to grab the panel I worked on this morning. Where are you? Right here. On the front, okay, the reason I use 16 up and out is because that gives me my first hole at 80. See that right there? So I can do my hinges right here, and I can do a center line of holes here for my shelf pins. Okay, but here's where it gets complicated if you don't cut on a 32 millimeter system. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to bring it in here like this, look, just like this. Okay, so there's... and as I want you to see this, that 16 puts you in a half hole. So that's 16 plus 32 and 32 is 80. So there's my first one, right? So if I set this up, Chris, I'm going to get right in front of you here. And I set this up like this, okay? This brings me, and I've gone through all of this, my parallel guides, okay? Gets me right where I want to be. So I got to do this, okay, these 2. And then I found my center here. Okay, for the front edge, that's where the reds are for the front. See that? And I can get those 6 just like that. Follow me? Okay, but then after I punch these 2 and these, because this is not nestled in, I got to take it down here, undo the clamps, and then do this hinge plate from the front. Okay, so there's a couple extra steps in there, right? Now, these red dots don't work on the back because I have to come from the back this away, and now I have the yellow dots. So there's 2 full setups. Hopefully, Big D, did that come through okay? Everybody, is that coming through? I hope. Okay. So, recently, someone sent me this because they didn't cut on a 32 millimeter increment. Okay, I want to save you some money. Okay, check this out. He said, I have 2 32 millimeter rails, and he labeled this one front, and he punched everything out, still having to do the 2 hinges that way, and then he had one just for the back. See that? Okay. So there's somebody in this room that helped me build those 4 bays. You see those first 4 bays there? Okay, and what that was, I think it was last December, wasn't it? Garrett was there. And we did something similar to this. Because those first 4 bays of the new sys wall were not cut on 32 millimeter increments. So you know what he said to me? He said, why are you complicating the system? Why don't you practice what you preach? So to get symmetry, he helped me with the second half over here, and we did these 4. I wanted to replicate the 500 and 1000 sys port in height. So if we look at the center, we created, and I think there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 bays that are all built on a 32 millimeter system. And when I built those myself, I did it with one rail. So here's me preaching about LR-32 and 32 millimeter increments, but wait till you see what we do up there. We're going to do some real cool crown wraps next year. So long story short, practice what I preached, and I did. And so time out. Someone will come up to me and say, Sedge, I build an Imperial. I go, okay. And this was a gentleman named Chris from Michigan during a cabinet class. And he said, what if I have a cabinet above a microwave? Very popular cabinet. Those aren't 30 and a quarter. I go, Chris, what are they? And he said, mine's usually about 20 inches in height. Okay? See this? And let's get I go, Chris, could you give them an extra 10 millimeters? Would the customer know? Or would you give them a little more space with the radar or the microwave and go to that increment of measurement, which is 480 millimeters? And he said, is it that easy? And I go, it's that easy. Mr. or Mrs. Smith doesn't know you gave them an extra 10 millimeters to get it to a 32 millimeter increment. So you can alter your plans if need be, but try if you want to simplify it and not complicate it, cut on that 32 millimeter increment. So here's what I'm talking about. Instead of this, I always cut. Come in. Hey, is that the first time we said not mute our iPhones? I think that's the first time. Wow. Cool. Practice what you preach. Okay, so where's this? Here it is right here. So yesterday when I was cutting, and I'm going to show you how I lay out this rail. It's the exact same thing. It's 16 up and out. Okay, and look, I have one set of lines. And I don't have to move it now because it's perfectly nestled in there. Ooh, if I can get this, Chris, let's do this. See that? There's no space in there. Okay, you get that? Between this one and this one. So when I take that, I can knock out these two. It's 3 holes here to the first one for this. I just lock it in. And what I do to get these center holes, they don't have to be perfect. Let's get in here to check this out. What's half of 768? This is where I get pretty good, and I look smart, but I don't have to be. It's right here. There's a dot. See that? And I believe that's 384. So I go like this. That's my center line. I just mark my rail like that. And then I do 3 above there or 3 below. Now, there's sometimes I just do all the holes in between. It depends on how many shelves. But I'll tell you right now, that right there, when you install a kitchen, usually that adjustable shelf never moves. You can go back 3 years later, they haven't adjusted the shelf. So there you go. Now, see how I did the front holes here? This is the beauty of this system, everybody. The balanced panel. Maybe I should have called it the balanced panel. I'll flip this over. I can take that. I can bring this, whoopsie. I can bring it right in. I take my parallel guides here. I take it just like this, and I bring it right in just like that, and that gets me 37 millimeters from the back of my cabinet, and I can punch those holes out just like that. In fact, let's punch them. So I got that in there like that. That's 37. Chris, are you okay if I turn on the machine? Yeah. Oh, he answered me. Let's get her done. So I'm going to take that in here like this. Garrett, you don't even remember that, do you? When you told me I was crazy. I bet you don't. You know what? I'm actually admitting I listened to Garrett. Hot dog. No. Yeah, I actually listened to you, brah. Okay, so there you go. Garrett, we got a lot of people calling in. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, I'm going to take a picture of that. Show Minnie. You're doing a good job. And also, Minnie's got a stellar handwriting. Too cool. Hey, I got a question for everybody out there. Have you been naughty or have you been nice? All right, just checking, man. Woo, it's time for Christmas. All right, let's get it going. Okay, I'm just going to check my depth. Yep, got her set earlier. Now, on the back side of the cabinet, I don't have to do the hinge plate holes. I just have to do these holes because I want them to line up, right? So I'll just bring it right over here. I'll turn her on and just punch. And I remember that I always let that pin find its equilibrium so I don't skip a hole or I don't miss one. And it's that easy. So one rail, one set of markings, that's all you need. If you do this first, is you cut this exactly on an increment of 32 millimeter. It makes it wicked easy. And that's one of the biggest takeaways we ever got out of the cabinet class, because everybody was overthinking it, and you don't have to. Okay. Big D, I think you're better on the duralation of this anyhow. You knew I was going to say it. Chris always asks, what's the duralation of this? Okay. How we doing? I just want to check to see who's... Oh, my God. Wow. Hey, you know what's really cool? This is the most Garrett's ever written. All right. And Garrett just won an award here at Festool, North America. Woo! Okay, everybody. Our favorite time of day has come, and I want to call everybody out. Okay, we have Lausanne, Switzerland, Chichester, UK, Austin, Texas, Sun City, West Arizona, East Yorkshire, London, England. We have Des from Harrogate, England, and he's watched every episode. Woo! Make sure you tell us if you've watched every episode. We really like that. Estonia. I've watched every episode. Okay. Edmonton, Alberta. The Netherlands. Wake Forest, North Carolina. Bozeman, Montana. Enfield, Connecticut. Garrett. Hey, Rob. Garrett took a deep breath, and he had to learn how to say Cinnaminson or spell Cinnaminson. Cinnaminson, New Jersey. Macbeth, Hardwood, and Stockton. Pinehurst, North Carolina. Southern California, Batavia, Ohio, Haverhill, Mass, Waystone, New York, Springfield, Virginia, Eatonton, Georgia. You call it what you want. Yokolt, Washington, Yolarvi, Finland, Poland, Anderson, Indiana, Wasaga Beach, Canada. Really? Wasaga, is it Canada, CA, or California? Canada? Okay, Canada, Zanesville, Ohio, Clarksburg, Maryland, Queen Creek, Arizona, Pittsburgh, PA, St. Louis, Springfield, Oregon, Berkshire, UK. Garrett, I need the spin of this. Hey, is anybody calling in from Milan, Italy? Because I know that's Min Min. Wow, Toulouse, Denmark, Santa Cruz, California, Miamisburg, Ohio, Bloomington, Indiana, go IU. Okay, Lafayette, Indiana, go Purdue, go Boilermakers. Boiler Up, Beeston, UK, Cheadle, England, Lufkin, Texas, Shrewsbury, UK, Longmont, Colorado, Malta. Chris, Merry Christmas. Christopher. Marin, French Alps, Marysville, California, Santa Cruz, Naples, Florida, Knoxville, Tennessee, Westmeath, Ireland, Novato, California. Man, I am going to Ireland next year in October. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hey, I think it's up to 2 weeks we're going to be there. Belgium, Athens, Greece, Netherlands, that makes a two-pack, Knoxville, Indiana, Spain, Galway, Ireland, Lancaster, PA. We have Paramaribo, Suriname. I think we put that up there just to mess with me. Wolfsvega, Netherlands, LA, California, Aston, PA, San Francisco, California, Durham, North Carolina, Kingsman, Arizona. We have Victor from Chicago, Illinois. He's not on there, but I'm calling you out, Victor. You're a rock star. Plano, Texas, Greeley, Colorado, Sierra, Brazil, Monroe, Louisiana, Broomsgold, England, Russia, St. Petersburg. How are you? Any others that you put on there again? You're all good? Yeah, you sure? Yep, nobody else. Nobody else. Okay, good. So, did I say Merry Christmas yet? Merry Christmas. Did I say Happy New Year yet? Happy New Year. Did I tell you how much we love you? Everybody, thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of all our hearts. Thank you for watching this year. You've made our year in 2021. You've gotten us through this. The next 2 weeks, I believe we have best of series. Tune in. Chris has worked really hard on them. He's actually working on, for next year, a blooper series. Boy, have we had a lot of bloopers. Okay, I mean, you guys think I do bloopers online. You should see what I do off the line. Okay, so I just want to say thank you very much. Be safe this holiday season. And I think that's a wrap.